Hi fam, welcome back to my channel. Now, as a beginner, looking at this outfit that I'm putting on looks very difficult to achieve. But in this tutorial, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to achieve this style. So whether you are a beginner or looking forward to recreating something that is suitable for everyday style, then this tutorial is for you. So if this is what you're interested in, then let's get started right away. So here's the fabric that I'm using. I'm using 2 yards of crepe. If you're going to be replacing this, I would advise that you get 2.5 yards of crepe. Okay, so I had to manage a lot. So here's my pattern paper, and what I'm going to do first, I'm going to mark my button allowance in front. So we're going to draft the front first, and then we're also going to use this front part of the skirt to draft the back. So I'm going to just mark out the zipper allowance rather. So I'm going to just mark 2 inches for my zipper allowance. Okay, so after that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my waist to hip line, which is 9 inches, and then I'm going to mark my waist to knee line at 20 inches, and then I'm going to mark the full length of the skirt at 30 inches. Okay, and afterwards I'm going to connect straight line across this point as you see me doing, and I'm going to label them out as you can see. So the next thing that we're going to do is to mark our dart intake, and for that I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 4 inches, and I'm going to mark, and on both sides I went out by 1/2 inch on both sides. So I'm also going to mark this 4 inch on the hip line and connect a straight line across. Next, I'm going to come down by 6 inches to mark my dart depth, and I'm going to connect from this 1/2 inch point down to meet that point. After that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my waist circumference by 4, and I'm going to mark, which gave me 8 inches, and I'll mark. And I'm going to replace this dart intake of 1 inch and then add 1 inch sewing allowance. Next, we're going to divide our hip circumference by 4 and add 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, and then on the knee line, I'm going to minus what I have on the hip point. I'm going to minus 1 inch, and then on the full length, I'm going to minus 2 inches from my waist circumference divided by 4, and I'm going to mark it as you've seen me mark it, and then we're going to just connect all the points. So afterwards, I'm going to extend these lines on the knee line and on the hip line outwards towards the zipper allowance like so. Here I'm going to mark 1 inch, okay, and then on the hip I'm going to mark 1.5 inch, and then I'm going to mark 1 inch on the knee, and then 1 inch on the full length of the skirt, and I'm going to connect these points together like so. So you're going to turn your curve rule like this when you get to this point, and then turn it this way when you get to the other part, and then just align it together. Now this is to enable the butt sit properly. Okay, it's a process known as butt contouring. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to eliminate our dart, and to do that, this is what you're going to do. As you see me connecting, go ahead and connect these 2 points to meet the tip of the skirt as I've done just now. So next I'm going to add extra paper to this point because we're going to be extending the allowance on this point here. So the allowance that I have on the hip point, I'm going to extend it outwards. Okay, I'm going to extend it outwards like that. I had 0.7 inch, and I'm going to extend that outwards. And then we're also going to do that for the knee line. I had 1/2 inch, and we're going to connect. Now there's no need to reconnect the waistline because the dart, we had the dart already, and we had already replaced the dart, but the dart did not go all the way down to the hip line. That is why we had to replace that dart. If you don't replace it, you're going to be short. Like on the hip point, you're going to have shortage. Okay, so just go ahead, connect it, and then rule it down as you see me do just so. So just connect this part properly so you don't have any sharp edges, and then we're not going to be going with this line again. So after I've done this, the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and just trim off the excess as you see me doing. Just go ahead and follow the points that I'm connecting. I'm cutting off like this and carefully cut out the excess like so. So afterwards, I'm just going to turn it up to this other side, and then we're going to cut open this center line like so. So when you get to the tip, make sure you don't cut it open, okay? So just leave a little bit hanging. As you see me, just hang a little bit there so you can hold the other part. So align it properly, and then use your gum or whatever you're going to be using. I'm using a masking tape, so just go ahead and then hold them in place like this. So after you've done that, this is basically it. Okay, so now you'll find that one part of this is a bit longer. You can add extra paper and then reconnect it, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to do it when I place it on my main fabric. So after I've done this now, I've pinned it down. As you can see, my fabric is in a fold. I've pinned it down, and I'm just going to go ahead now and follow the paper and cut it open like this. And I'm going to cut this side off as well. Okay, so just follow it and cut it open. So now I'm just going to trim this top here, and then just trim it off. So after that, you can see that I just made sure to align that part. So next, now we're going to take out the pattern paper so that we can work on the front. So now we're still going to use this pattern paper to work on the front. All we have to do is to cut off the zipper allowance, okay? Cutting off the zipper allowance. Now this method helps to save pattern paper a lot, so you don't have to cut two at once. So after I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is on the front, center front here, I'm going to come down by 1/2 inch. Okay, that is why I did not add the extra pieces at that point and just cut it open like this. All right, so after that, I'm going to just place it. I've placed it on another the fabric in a fold, and then I've pinned it down, and then I'm just going to cut off all the excess, and we're basically done with the front and the back. So next we're going to continue with the top, okay, with the upper part of the pattern, the style. So I've marked 2 inches, which is for the button allowance, as I've labeled, as you can see. So next I'm going to mark the neck width of 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2, which is 8 inches, and mark. Next, from this point, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inch and then connect this to the neck like so. So for the neck depth, I'm going to mark 2.5 inches as well, and I'm going to connect this point as you see me and connect it outward like so. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark my shoulder to bust point, which is 11 inch, shoulder to chest line 9 inches, shoulder to under bust 14, shoulder to waist 17, and then shoulder to the full length of the top at 22 inches. And I'm going to connect straight lines across this point as you see me connecting. Just go ahead and connect these points like so. So on this point, I'm going to mark that 8 inches I marked for my shoulder. I'm going to mark it here as well. This is to enable me create a straight line across these points like so. And then I'm going to get the midpoint, mark it, come in by 1/2 inch. And then on the chest line, I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4 and mark it on these lines and then connect like so. Next, we're going to take our dart and we're going to divide your nipple to nipple by 2 and mark. Mine gave me 4 inches, and so that is what I'm going to mark across this point like so and connect it as you see me connecting. Next, on the waistline, I'm going to go out by 1/2 inch on both sides. Now this pattern of that taking is normally it's supposed to be the princess dart bustier, but I don't want to cut it open because I'm trying to manage my fabric. Okay, so I'm just going to mark the normal waist dart here, connect it as you see me connecting, and then create my bustier at the top here. I'm going to be stitching it down with 1/4 inch. Okay, the allowance I'm going to be stitching it with 1/4 inch, and then on this part I just added 1/2 inch, so I'm going to be stitching this part with the 1/2 inch here, and then I extended out by 1 inch and then connected. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be doing. So I just hope that you understand. We are not going to cut it open to create the normal princess dart bustier and join and all that. We're just going to create this. Now on this point, I just added 1/4 inch on both sides of the dart leg so that I can be able to stitch it down. All right. So I'm not going to cut it open. We're just going to go ahead and stitch it down. All right. So next, we're going to divide the upper hip by 4 and then replace the dart and add 1 inch sewing allowance. We're going to do the same thing for the waist point and every other part as well. Now I forgot to add my sewing allowance on the chest line, but I was able to find my way around it. So please add your sewing allowance at the chest line. So next on this waistline, I went down by 2.5 inch, and then using the curved part of my rule, I just connected it towards the button allowance as you see me do. So after you've done that, we're basically done with the pattern for the upper part, and then we're just going to go ahead and cut it off like this. Now you saw that I did not cut off the shoulder, the armhole there. I just left a little so that by the time I fold it, by the time I stitch down, I'm still going to have a little and I'm going to trim it off. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. So next I'm just going to, I've placed it on my main fabric, and I'm going to go ahead now and follow the pattern and trace it off like so. Okay, so just go ahead and do that. So after I've done that, next I'm going to open up this front as well. So just go ahead and open up the front. All right. So after that, I'm going to transfer this dart to the main fabric, and yeah, I'm going to pin my pins on those points like so. You're just going to pin the pins down on the points that I'm pinning down. Just go ahead and pin down. This is to enable me transfer the dart to the main fabric. Okay. So after I've pinned down, I'm just going to turn it to this other side and then pull the pins out, and then I'm going to use my pen. Now, this pen is an erasable pen, okay? So that is what you're going to do. Just get it and then pin it down, and then continue to follow the pins and rule out all the lines, following the pinned lines. Okay, from the pinned lines, you can easily see it, and then just follow it and connect it like so. So I hope that you can see. So next, I'm going to pull off the pattern paper on this part, and then we can also pin it on this other side as well. So after I've pinned it down, I could see the traces on this other side, on the back side, okay? And then I'm just going to follow it and continue to do the same thing. The same thing that we've done on the other part is what we're going to do on this part as well, okay? So that is what we're going to do. Just go ahead and follow it the same way we did for the other side. And then if you have enough fabric, you can just do your princess dart bustier, cut open and then join it back together, okay? But I don't have enough fabric, like I said, so I'm just trying to minimize as much as I can. I'm just trying to manage the fabric as much as I can. But this pattern came out very fine after I made the dress. It was very much okay. So it helped me save a lot, okay, and time as well. So next we're going to cut off the button allowance, okay, like I've done. Cut it off. So this now is the back pattern. So for the back, there's no darts. We're not going to stitch down any darts. So make sure to take out the darts allowances that we added, okay, and then cut it off. All right, so just go ahead and do that. So you can even still decide to stitch down your dart if you want at the back, but for me, I didn't want that. So on the full length, I came up by 1 inch on the back. You can decide to just leave it like that, but me, I decided to come up by 1 inch at the back, and then I'm going to pin it down, and afterwards we're just going to follow the pattern paper. After I've pinned down, follow the pattern paper, and then just go ahead and cut open. Now for the back neck depth, I just marked 1 inch instead of the 1.5 or 2 inches. I marked 1 inch. Now when I go to the armhole area, because there's no dart at the back, I had to trim off this excess that we have and then follow it up and continue from there. Now this is all that I have left. This is all the fabric I have left. So I'm just going to manage this and make a sleeve out of it. Now if you don't know how to draft like your sleeve pattern, you can leave a comment in the comment section and I will show you how to go about it. But if you have been following me, I know that by now you already know how to do this. But if you still don't know how to do it, then just let me know so that I can make a tutorial for you on how to draft your sleeve pattern. But it's very simple. As you can see, I'm basically done with it. So I'm just going to go ahead now and cut off the excess. Now this sleeve is supposed to be a long sleeve, but because I don't have enough fabric, that is why I had to just manage what I have and just come up with this short sleeve. Okay, so this is what we're going to use for the sleeve. So this is basically it for the sleeve. We're done with it. So this is the part that we're going to be using to create the ruffles. I've already gone ahead to cut it out. So the length is by 60, and this is in a fold. So the length is by 60 for the front part and 60 for the back as well. So the width is 5.5 inches. You can make it longer or shorter if you prefer. Okay, so for mine it's 5.5, and this is basically it. So these are all the patterns that we'll be using in our next tutorial. So first of all, for the band, I didn't have enough fabric for the band. What I have, I'm saving for the collar, for the bishop's collar that we'll be adding. So I just had to make do with it. So in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to join all of these parts together to make this outfit that I'm putting on. So I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now, guys.